All right, today we're going over the Week 8 schedule of the 2022 NFL season. As you can see, these are the last week's results. Aaron doing the best out of all three of us, going 11-3, me going 10-4, and Brad going 9-5. So, good week for Aaron and decent week for me. Still a decent week for Brad. Still just a weird week of football. I think we can all agree on that. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into it. So, first game on the Week 8 schedule, we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this, I think, going into the season was a really, really good game that everyone was, maybe thinking it was a can't miss game. And, maybe some still do. I mean, I know I want to watch this game for sure. But, both teams, I would say, have been a little underwhelming. We're at week 8, so we can kind of have a formal opinion on them. Tampa Bay for sure has struggled. I know they've really, really taken a lot of people by surprise about how just bad football they're playing. And Baltimore, they've been in a lot of good games that they probably should have won, but even their record, I don't know if they're as good as their record says they are, but this one I really, really had to really think about. But it is in Tampa, but I'm gonna actually go with Baltimore on this one, just because Tampa has really been slipping these past few weeks. I don't like what I'm seeing from them. I feel like Baltimore's defense is really, really going to get to Brady. And so we're in week 8 right now. I don't think in my lifetime I've seen a Tom Brady-led team under 500 this far into the season, at least since I've been watching football. But you gotta kind of feel that this is a must-win for them. I know that they're still in a pretty crappy division, but considering the last few weeks for them, I would say this is a must-win for them. But I'm going to actually go with the Ravens. The Bucs have been kind of failing me these last few weeks. So Baltimore, I think that I don't know if Tampa's defense is going to be able to stop them. So I'm going to go with Baltimore on this one. Next game, we have a London game. We have the Broncos at the Jags, so this will be a little interesting. The Jags always play in London, so I'm sure the people over there are really getting sick of seeing them. But this one I think is a toss-up, whether or not Russ is playing for the Broncos. But I think I'm going to go with the Jaguars. It'll be on neutral field, but I think the defense will definitely make it hard for Jacksonville. But Denver, I don't know, man. They're one of those teams, like I mentioned earlier, that have just been a little lackluster and been very underwhelming, considering what they did in the offseason and what they added. But Jacksonville coming off against that tough loss to the Giants, I think they're going to bounce back, and I think I'm going to give this one to the Jaguars. So next game we have the Panthers at the Falcons, two division rivals going at it. So this one, I know everyone's a little high off them for beating Tampa Bay last week, but Atlanta I think is the better team, and I think they've been a surprising team. But on the flip side, they've been actually playing pretty damn good football, and I think they're a little better than their record indicates as well. So I'm going to go with Atlanta on this one. I just think they're the better team. It's going to be at home. The Atlanta crowd's going to be crazy. And Carolina, I know they just beat Tampa Bay, but I'm not going to pick them to beat Atlanta on their home field. So we go with Atlanta on this one. Next game, we have the Chicago Bears at the Cowboys. So this one, Chicago coming off that surprising win, at least to anybody not in Chicago. But they're coming off that surprising win against the Patriots, and I think they might have a recipe. They might have some momentum going into this game. It's not easy going into Foxborough beating New England like that, but they laid them out, man, and it wasn't a particularly close game. But on the flip side of it, this is going to be in Dallas. Dak's already got his sea legs under him, beating the Lions last week, And Dallas, I think their defense is better than New England's, and I think it's going to be a lot harder for Chicago in this instance. I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one, but I think Chicago will actually play a little better and give Dallas more of a fight than some of the teams they've had to play against so far. But I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one. So next game we have the Dolphins at the Lions. So Lions, they had a lot of promise at the beginning of the year, and as the weeks go by and on and on, I'm just starting to lose more hope in this team. I don't know why I ever have hope with them to begin with, but yeah, this one I think is kind of a no-brainer. And Miami, I got to give them credit, and I got to give Tua credit. They are undefeated when Tua's playing, so I got to give them their flowers. So this one I think will be a pretty easy game for Miami. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins on this one. Next game, we have the Arizona Cardinals at the Minnesota Vikings. So Minnesota Vikings having a very, very quiet 5-1 season. And, I criticize both of these teams, but Minnesota with a winning record, only losing the one game, and when you look back to who they lost to, it was Philly. And Philly's the only undefeated team left, so that loss isn't looking too bad on their part. But this one's going to be in Minnesota, very hard place to play. I think they just have a better overall team. Arizona, good win for them last week against the Saints, but I'm going to go with Minnesota. Just think they have a better team, but I still do not trust Kirk Cousins. So, good team, still don't trust Kirk Cousins, but I'm going to go with Minnesota for this game. Let's see, next game we have the Raiders at the Saints. So, this one I think will be a little closer than people think. And it is hard to play in New Orleans. They got a great defense, but I think, especially considering last week and even 2 weeks ago when they played the Chiefs, I think we really are starting to see a turning point with the Raiders. I think that this is going to be a turning point. I think that win coming off beating Houston last week is big for them, and I think it carries over to this game. I think this is going to be a really, really strong turning point for the Raiders if they win this game. I am going to pick them to win this game. But if they lose this game, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to make the playoffs. I really do. So I don't want to say it, but I think it's kind of a must-win for them. But it's going to be tough. New Orleans is no easy place to play. And I really think that I'm going to give the edge to the Raiders, and I think this is where they really start popping off with some wins. I haven't looked ahead to their schedule at all lately, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Raiders for this one. So next game, we have the two division rivals going at it. We have the Patriots at the Jets. So on paper, everyone's looking at the Jets. Good team, good roster, good record. In New England, I think, coming off that shocking loss to the Bears, I think they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth. It's already official that Mac Jones will be the starter for this game. And the Patriots, on record, have owned the Jets. They've owned them, especially since Bill Belichick's been there. And part of me I'm really thinking about this one, but I'm going to go with the Patriots. I know the Jets, they just traded for James Robinson from Jacksonville, and pretty damn good defense, good record, but until they actually beat New England, I'm not going to buy into it. But I'm a little worried to pick the New England Patriots, especially considering what happened on Monday night. But maybe it's the Patriot fan in me, but I'm going to go with the Patriots for this one. So the Battle of Pennsylvania for the next game, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at Philly. Philly coming off a bye, still undefeated. I don't think this one's going to be one we have to talk about too much. I think better overall team. Pittsburgh still trying to figure it out. I think it's time they maybe start, committing to the tank, trying to get a good draft pick, because they're in a very tough division, and the AFC is very stacked. So Philly, obviously going for the number 1 seed, so I'm going to go with Philly on this one. Next game, two division rivals going at it. We have Tennessee at Houston. So Tennessee been on a roll lately. They've been winning a lot of games. Derrick Henry's having a quietly great season. And, I go back to what I said a couple weeks ago with the Texans. They're a feisty team that will fight you right to the very end. But for this game, I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think it's going to be closer than people think. But I'm going to go with the Titans on this one. I just think they've got a lot of momentum, and it's going to carry on to this one. Houston, I think, as well, should be considering committing to the tank. So I'm going to go with the Titans for this one. So we have the Washington Commanders at the Indianapolis Colts. So this will be interesting. Matt Ryan, we just found out at the beginning of the week, he's being benched for the remainder of the season. I think it's a little unfair. I know he hasn't played great, but, he's, I think, top 5 in passing yards. So I know it's not leading to wins. Passing yards don't lead to wins. But Washington coming off that win against Green Bay, I think it's going to carry on into this next game. Give me the Commanders for this game. I think that this is, I don't even know if I want to call it an upset, but I don't know really too much about the Colts quarterback heading into this week. We don't know what he can do or what he's done, but just from what I've seen, I'm going to give it to the Commanders, especially how they played last week. And Taylor Heineke, he's got some experience already under his belt, so give me the Commanders. Next game, we have division rivals going at it. So Rams coming off a bye, and 49ers after just getting their ass kicked by the Chiefs. But, it's the Chiefs, so that's okay. But historically, these last few years, especially with Mike Shanahan being the coach, we've seen San Francisco really own the Rams, except this last year in the playoffs. But they've really owned the Rams, and I think it's going to carry on into this game. I know the Rams are coming off a bye, which is probably much needed for them. But I'm going to go with the 49ers on this one just because I really think that, they play the Rams so well compared to any other team. They have their number. So I'm going to go with the 49ers on this one. I think that, considering especially what happened last week, yeah, they got their ass kicked, but it was the Chiefs. So, that happens to everybody. And I think this will be a good test for the Rams, too, to see where they're at in the season. We haven't really seen too much from them that is pointing towards a repeat, but it is hard to repeat in this league. So if I had to pick on this one, I'm going to go with the 49ers. So this, I think, might be game of the week. I don't know. But we have the 5-1, yes, 5-1 New York Giants against the Seattle Seahawks. This is going to be at the 12th man. This one, I had to kind of think about a little bit, but I'm going to go with the hot hand, although they're both hot right now, but I'm going to go with Seattle. I think that they're going to be able to pull it off. I think them having their crowd backing them up is going to be huge, but New York's been in all their games. This is going to be a close one. I really do think it's going to be a close one, but I'm going to give the edge to Seattle on this one. I really think that they can pull it off, and I think this will be a good momentum booster for whoever wins this game. And some people might not be taking either of these teams seriously yet, but I think whoever comes out of this one alive should be taken more serious. But right now, for this one, I am going to go with the Seahawks. Ooh, the Sunday night game. I'm sure at the beginning of the year, this one was a marquee matchup. We have the Packers at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, arguably the best team in football, at least for me. I think they're the best team in football. And the Packers having the same symptom as, the Buccaneers, just not having a great year. Very lackluster. I mean, if you lose Devontae Adams, that's tough. Where's that offense going to be made up from? So I don't think I need to talk too much about this one. I really think Buffalo is going to steamroll them. This is going to be in Buffalo. The Bills Mafia will be out. This is going to be a statement game, and I think this is really going to be it. This will be the turning point for the Packers about what to look forward to. And I know it's, we're reaching that midpoint in the season, but this is going to be Buffalo. I think they're going to lay the smack on them, and this is going to be kind of a soul-searching game for the Packers if they haven't been doing that already. But Buffalo, in every aspect of the game, I think they're better. They're just better in every aspect of the game. So going to go with Buffalo Bills to take out the Packers on this one. And to wrap up the week, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns, the Battle of Ohio. So two division rivals going at it. I'm going to go with the Bengals on this one. Just think that they are the better team. They are the hot hand right now. They had a rough start to the season, but they have bounced back extraordinarily well. And Cleveland, they're a quarterback away from really contending, I think. I like Jacoby Brissett, but if you put Deshaun Watson in there, it's probably a different story. And they'll probably win 2 or 3 more of those games that they've lost. But for this one, I just think Cincinnati's the better team. I think they're going to come prepared. And Joey Burrow, man, it's time he needs to start being in that conversation with Mahomes and Josh Allen. So I really think that this is going to be a good game, but I think Cincinnati's going to win, and they'll have the bragging rights for a couple weeks in the Battle of Ohio. So that wraps up Week 8 predictions on this one. Let me know in the comments who you got. I want to thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.